This must have brought a lot of memories back. It's only a few weeks back. You were robbed of your watch by a masked man on a motorbike, but this one had a gun.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, obviously, either which way, whatever the assailant has, I mean, the fact that Michael McIntyre had his child in the car is just horrifying. I had my 80-year-old father who wasn't very well. I had a gun. He had hammers. But either which way, it's very distressing. It's not a pandemic, Julia, but it is becoming a situation that's becoming more elevated with more and more of these swines behaving in a certain way. I mean, the police have got their hands full at certain times,
Well,
but I feel for Michael McIntyre.
well, absolutely. I mean, again, I live fairly near. I know where his child's school is, and live fairly near there. And I know there's been a spate of attacks in that area, and it's something that people are very concerned about. But it is absolutely terrifying because these are events. This is broad daylight. People on the school run, loads of other children around, and absolutely terrifying scenarios. And yeah, it does seem that the police seem almost powerless to do anything about this. These guys are wearing helmets. They're on mopeds. They disappear off within seconds of the attack. They got away with your, by all accounts, £100,000 watch. What have I been doing wrong in my life, Simon? But they're able to get away with these crimes.
Well, they are, because ultimately the manner in which the crime is perpetrated and the manner in which the transport they use, facilitates that. But in my case, the police have caught somebody and are prosecuting him, and because it's an armed offence, obviously I can't say too much. With firearm offences or anything of that nature, there's quite a significant consequence, and that's where I suppose, for want of a better word, Julia, retribution gets visited back on these people, because the nature of the judicial system has to hit these guys and whoever they are very, very, very hard, so that becomes a deterrent. So the police, in my instance, and as a whole, are very good, very diligent, and very focused. But it is a byproduct of our times. They are getting more daring. They are getting more brazen in the manner in which they operate. Mine was broad daylight. Mine was at 1 o'clock. In the afternoon.
But also, I mean, look, I've seen you around the Talk Radio Talk Sport offices. You're a big guy. You're a physical guy. You can handle yourself. And even no, but even you, I mean, you're going to be afraid of. And I know women this has happened to. And again, Michael McIntyre, all due respect to the man, but he's not in the peak of physical perfection. I'm not, I'm just saying. But this is absolutely terrifying. When this happens to people, people, feeling like a victim.
But when you're in the moment, Julia, you're not focused on the terror. You're focused on the event that unfolds in front of you. When I've had the situation, my response was to tell them to go forth and multiply first, and then when they put the gun in my face, just to say, well, go on then. And you look back and you think, what was I thinking? Because your fight or flight mentality comes in, and mine was a fight. And of course, then I had a situation with my father, and then I sort of, well, hang on a second, I've got somebody else in the car with me. I shouldn't be putting myself or him in the way of it. But it's afterwards that you start to think about the ramifications of it. Yeah. My biggest thought process, Julia, was if I'd have had my 10-year-old daughter in the car, Michael McIntyre had his 10-year-old son in the car, and you cannot legislate for the damage that may cause that young boy. Now, these people have got to be consequenced. The police need more support, and it's the judicial system. The police will catch them, but it's a judicial system that's got to consequence them. That's the manner in which we consequence. That's the manner in which we put a three-line whip under this.
Simon Jordan, well, good luck with your case. Simon Jordan, former Crystal Palace boss, of course. He was robbed at gunpoint a few weeks ago by a man on a moped. Norman Brennan's on the line, former police officer, law and order campaigner. Norman, you've always been on the side of the victims. I mean, this is undoubtedly absolutely terrifying. I mean, these, according to witnesses, it's around 2 o'clock. It's in northwest London. There's a guy at the front of the moped. He starts smashing the driver's window with the hammer. He's doing it about 10 or 15 times. Eventually, the driver's window cracks. He opens the door. He pulls Michael McIntyre out of the car. I mean, absolutely terrifying, especially when your major concern, I think, as a parent, and as Simon Jordan said, that would be to protect your child.
Well, it is. I mean, these crimes are normally over within seconds. What they do is that their MO is to come in and catch you unaware, steal the property, and they're off. And before you know what's going on, they're in a distance with your property. But the sad reality is, is that a number of these people now are actually carrying hammers and knives. And in that particular case, you were speaking to the Crystal Palace owner, a gun. They're fearless. And the sad reality is we haven't got the officers to cope. And the other sad reality is the criminal justice system does not do what the public and I would want it to do, and that's to send out a strong message, a deterrent message, and reassure us all.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. The worry that actually, what will they actually get if they are caught? I mean, but this is the thing, isn't it? We've all seen videos, the CCTV footage when they're trying to catch people, and you think, well, look, often there's no number plate on the moped. They're wearing a helmet. There's just, as you say, it's happened before you know it. And you see people sort of, they're on their phone. There, you can actually be on their phone, and then suddenly their phone's gone. And it's one thing losing a phone. It's one thing maybe someone stealing your expensive watch. These things can be replaced. The reality is, it's the fact that they're actually physically attacking people in this way. That is when it's really terrifying.
Well, it is. I mean, how often do we see about half a dozen turn up in Oxford Street in broad daylight, brazen, while 2 or 3 put the windows in, 2 hang on there as lookouts and getaway drivers. And it was only just until recently that I certainly supported it on behalf of my colleagues, that police officers, when pursuing these individuals, if they took their helmet off, then normally the pursuit would be called off.
Absolute
well,
madness.
That no longer will be the case. But having said that, my colleagues, I know, will still err on the side of caution when following someone like that, because they're not still fully convinced that the government and the criminal justice system will support them.
It's going to back them up. I'll tell you what, I think most talk radio listeners will agree with me. If something bad does happen, it's just one less scrote in the world for us to worry about, frankly.